boy, is this thing on? Okay, cool. Hey, I'm here. I've been gone about a day longer than I was hoping. Obviously, last time I streamed was Friday night. I did not stream Saturday. I did not stream Sunday. I was watching Vinny do his charity stream for the Ukrainian relief on Sunday. Very funny stuff. And then yesterday I was just doing something else. Actually, yesterday I was working on a video. In fact, I released another video this weekend on my main channel. I unboxed. I got my Playdate and an Min amiibo, and I unboxed both of them in like a little video that I recorded. It wasn't very good, at least by my standards. I think I could have done it a bit better. But I have another video coming out at 11 a.m. tomorrow of some PAX footage that I recorded. It's short. It's pretty stupid. It's kind of done in like the style of how like Vinny Vinesauce would do his. I'm not gonna play it now because it's gonna premiere tomorrow, but I could maybe preview a brief moment of it. She got a comment on the other one. Why doesn't YouTube Studio? Man, you know, YouTube is not the most friendly thing to use here. This is probably gonna be extremely loud when I play this. Okay, that's all the preview you're getting. you're getting that 3 seconds of sound there. No, hold on. Put that back on. Yeah, there's a thing called Squish. There was a game called Squish at PAX. That's all you're seeing right now. The full video, which is about a little over 4 minutes long, will be on YouTube tomorrow on my main channel, not on the stream archive. Speaking of, since this is my last stream before I go away for a week again, I'm going to upload this segment probably the day after tomorrow, and then the next segment I'm doing tonight I'm going to upload like the day after that, just to kind of spread it out a little bit, not have everything be bunched up on one day. But yeah, that's where we are right now. So I'm a little worn out. Things haven't been, well, yeah. Less said the better. You know what? Let's go ahead. Let's just get going to this. I think there's about an hour left of this chapter, and it is all examination stuff. There's no more court. So this shouldn't take too long to get to the end of. I know there's a couple more events that happen. I don't know what they are specifically, but I know that there's at least a few more. Also, I tried to fix my Pro Controller this weekend, and it turns out that I just can't. The screws on this thing are so bolted in well, and I don't have the right screwdriver to remove it. Plus, to get to the sticks, you have to essentially go to the back of the controller and, like, remove everything. And I don't want to do that. Anyway, we're still trying to figure out who killed Gregson. We ended the court period on kind of like an abrupt ending. I don't remember why exactly. I actually don't remember why we ended court so quickly. I know the proceedings were like immediately suspended. But I actually can't remember the specific reason. I don't remember if it's because of the guy getting his memory back or what. But afterwards we're trying to scramble for more clues here. So we're back at the scene of the crime now. We've gone pretty much everywhere else for the time being, and now there's a box here, which I'm assuming belongs to Gina, because it's green. This little trunk wasn't here before, was it? Oh, it appears to be made of metal. It must be very heavy. I wonder to whom it belongs. There's some initials on the outside, look. TG. Let's ask one of the policemen if they know how it came to be here. Oi, what do you think you're doing? That's my trunk, that is. Hands off. Gina. Where were you hiding? I don't know, you leave something unattended for a few seconds and every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got his greedy eyes on it. Just a wild guess, Gina, but... What? Spit it out, Odo. Is it fair to say that you've only owned that trunk since this morning's trial? What are you trying to say? Come on, this trunk goes with me everywhere. Always is. Always has. Where have you been the last year? Trying not to incur your wrath, mainly. Yeah, there was nothing in here originally when we came by, and then we went to, where was it? Because it's been like 4 days since I've last played this. Then we went to the prison, we went to the hospital bed, we went to the prosecutor's office and talked to Kazuma. We went to the forensics laboratory, then we left, went to the prisoner governor's office, then came immediately back to the forensics laboratory. And now I think we're here. But I also think, oh no, I guess there isn't anywhere else to go right now. Okay. So this is it for the time being. That said, I didn't look at the timeline for the story mode playthrough, and the point where I was stopping last time, which, is right here, obviously, it said there was like another hour, hour and 10 minutes of this chapter left. So I figured, you know what, I'm not going to drag it out, let's just wait until the next stream. Your boss. You should hear them talking at the yard now. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're saying that it was the boss who killed all them bludgers. You mean the whole Reaper thing? Yeah. Apparently the boss was investigating stuff that no one else at the yard knew nothing about. Stuff to do with all them criminals what got off scot-free. Yes, the ones prosecuted by Lord Van Zeeks who used bribery and corruption to evade conviction. Well then, obviously, it was that bloomin' Reaper giving the orders, weren't it? But why would people be... But why would people be suspecting Inspector Gregson of being involved in the killings? There was a notebook in his office. Oh no, this doesn't sound good. It had details about all the crimes that have been pegged as the Reaper's work. What? No, did you see it, Gina? Did you see that notebook? They wouldn't flamin' let me, because I'm just an apprentice, apparently. But it was me who found it, and he was my boss. That's right. I was pretty miffed about it, so... I sneaked a peek at what it said anyway. Oh, that's our Gina. Secret notebook. So, you managed to see what was written in Gregson's secret notebook anyway, did you? Way I see it, it's my right to read what he wrote. And what had he written, Gina? Dates, times, places, names, an whole long list of them. All details about the bludgeon supposed to have been done in by the Reaper. But there could be an explanation for that. Perhaps it was a record of the Inspector's investigations into the Reaper's activities. Exactly. That's what I said. That's the first thing you'd think, right? As it happens, it was full of names I recognized anyway. Well, the Reaper's targets are almost exclusively known to leaders of London's criminal underworld. Well, yeah, but there was one name right at the end that was a bit odd. At the end of the list, you mean? Is it A. Shin? I'm pretty sure that date against it was 31st October. Oh, the day before the Inspector was found dead. So, what was the odd name? It weren't like a name I'd ever seen before. It was something like... Nah, it's no good. I can't remember it. I don't think it was an English name, put it that way. Oh dear. What a pity. There was something else too. I don't know if it matters, but the same name kept coming up over and over. Shin. Yep, it was. Don't suppose it means anything, but... It very much does. Did you say Sheen? It might be Shin, because it's not actually a Japanese name, I think. But I don't know. What? It does mean something? Lord Van Zeeks knew the name too. He mentioned her as well. The woman who actually did the deeds. And now we find out her name appeared in Gregson's secret notebook. We haven't seen you for a little while, have we, Gina? Well, of course not. I've been busy, ain't I? Investigating in that? The lads at the yard are trying to trace the boss's movements to the day before it happened. The day before? That would be undercover investigation into the Red-Headed League then, right? Only the boss didn't go, did he? You found some cove what was pretending to be him, didn't you, Odo? Yes, it was Mr. Vigil who actually went to the park on Lime Street that day, posing as Gregson. Well, anyway, you ain't the only one turning stuff up. I've got my own ways of getting results. When me and my partner here get along, there's nothing we can't track down. Oh, little Toby. He's such a faithful friend. So, have you tracked anything down, then? What do you think, eh? Of course we have. Can't tell you, though. Police business, innit? Anyway, the point is, if you lot ever need any help, you know who to turn to, right? Me and the L-Hound here. Right, because he looks oh so hellish honest. Gina, about your Hellhound there. Chief Inspector Toby, you mean? He's the pride of the police force, he is. In Japanese, police dog means something quite different and not altogether nice to those involved in crime. But here in Britain, it's a wonderful compliment, it seems, for a canine at least. It should be. After all, in the Great Exhibition case the other day, it was Toby here who managed to locate Drebber's workshop. Maybe it's time for another demonstration of what this super dog can do, eh? Do we have something the Chief Inspector could catch the scent of, I wonder? I don't know. What are we looking for exactly?
Take that!
Well, Chief Inspector Toby, if you wouldn't mind having a sniff of this. Chief Inspector said woof to that, Odo. Yes, I heard. I think perhaps that particular item didn't excite him very much. Hey, you got nothing else? I'll have a think. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. You want to see another demonstration of his amazing nose, eh? Well, we're trying to trace Inspector Gregson's movements, so... Come on, Odo, what you got for him? Maybe the wig.
Take that!
He might be a little too keen, don't you think? Chief Inspector made short work of Gina there. Ah, look what he's gone to. Oh my, that trunk clearly still has a very strong scent. Of Inspector Gregson. In other words, it must have belonged to him. Well, alright, it's a fair cop, I suppose. And you nearly got away with it, too. You always talk so proudly of Chief Inspector Toby's nose and what it can achieve. Did it not cross your mind that he might identify something that was right next to us? Yeah, that was a bit of a bloomer, weren't it? That's enough now then, Gina. Eh? I think it's time you told us the truth about that trunk. It weren't like that. It just weren't. What are you talking about? I know what's going through that head of yours, but that ain't what happened. Alright then. What did happen? Well, like I said before, we were trying to trace the boss's movements. So I let Toby have a whiff of the boss's overcoat. And as soon as I'd done that, he went off like a shot. Straight to the sandwich. To a sandwich, not to a bag of chips? Mr. Naruhodo, I believe Gina means the witness. Oh, I forgot about that sandwich. Yeah, he had it in between them wooden boards of his, the boss's trunk. When they heard the sound like a gunshot and all piled in there. Exactly. He nabbed it from the scene. Goodness. Me and the chief inspector gave that sandwich a good grilling, and you know what he said? I thought it might fetch a good price and the chapel wouldn't be needing it anymore, so... But that's all I did. Nothing more, nothing less. Would you Adam and E the cheek of it, eh? Stealing the dead boss's stuff to flog? So Miss Venus wasn't the only one to meddle with the crime. Excuse me. So Miss Venus wasn't the only one to meddle with the scene of the crime, then. How could they? So anyway, that's how it happened. And it's a pretty decent trunk, so I figured I might as well make use of it. Is there something wrong with that, eh? Well... maybe you and Mr. Sandwich should try to find the answer to that question together. One second. There we go. I think perhaps the trunk should be turned over to the police, don't you? What are you on about? I am the police! Gina, if you wouldn't mind, could we maybe examine it? Yeah, alright then. Do what you want with it. Thank you. We shall make the detailed record of our examination of the evidence. Gregson's trunk has been entered into the court record. Inspector Gregson's metal traveling trunk that was moved from the scene, but subsequently recovered by Gina. What's the matter with Toby? Why is he acting so aggressively towards me all of a sudden? Mr. Naruhodo, be careful! It must be the trunk! Oh god, that's scary. Ah! Toby, oi, what are you doing? You're gonna lick his face off! Mr. Naruhodo! Mr. Naruhodo! Gina, quickly, hail a carriage! $4:57 p.m. Naruhodo's legal consultancy. Excuse me. I think this is where you get the achievement. The bonus achievement or accolade for this chapter. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, are you alright? Miss Susato. Ah, conscious again at last. A blessed relief, my dear fellow. After all, to drop dead after a moderate licking by a small terrier. Most unseemly. What is or isn't seemly is relevant here, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so glad there's no lasting damage. How are you feeling? I'm fine, thank you. Did you bring me back here? What's this on my head? A bandage? Sadly, we had no ice, so that's a compress of sugar water. Sugar water? Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a first aid treatment that my father taught me. Oh, thank you. So, let us take tea when you're feeling up to it. But of course, no sugar in the patient's cup. The bump on my head is throbbing sweetly enough, don't worry. Whenever you feel ready, then. Have you seen this huge gash across the side of the trunk here? It's gone right through the leather and into the metal behind. Gosh, for a metal chest like this to have been so badly damaged. Whatever made that gash must have struck the side of the trunk with considerable force. I wonder how it happened. this dark stain here? Do you think... Yes, I'm afraid so. I think it's blood. I knew you were going to say that. So that presumably means that this was present at the scene when Inspector Gregson was killed. It's the most logical conclusion, yes. To think Gina's been carrying this around with her. If you didn't know any better, I suppose it does look like a grease stain from all the fish and chips. Let's have a look inside. Looks like stuff up there, but... What is all this? Look, there's something inside. Oh, let's see. It appears to be a passport authorizing him to travel overseas. Was Inspector Gregson about to go on a trip abroad then? Perhaps the date of departure might tell us something. That was... Oh! What is it? It's for travel on the 31st of October, just one day before the incident. What? Really? It was issued for travel to France. Oh, it's a separate document. Okay. Gregson went to France the day before his body was discovered? Passport documentation that was in Inspector Gregson's possession. It was issued for travel to France the day before his body was discovered. Name Tobias Gregson, passport number ACD 0522. Date of departure within 1 week from 31st October. Destination Port of Dunkirk, France. Purpose of travel, police business. Notes, permission for the applicant and one additional person to travel. Presumably meaning Gina. Thank you for your concern, Mr. Sholmes. My dear fellow, think nothing of it. I must say I was quite startled when I heard that you'd been attacked by a dog. For a moment, I feared the infamous murder of so many had come back from the dead. You mean the professor? Fortunately, I see your prized throat is unscathed. That stiff turned-up collar of yours obviously afforded us some welcome protection. Was I that close to death? All I remember is the dog licking my face over and over and over again. Well, if you wish to avoid such troubles in the future, a little mustard spread on the cheek should do the trick. I should think that would bounce the sweetness of your bandage rather splendidly. The room across the hall is undisturbed, of course. I don't suppose I'd be permitted to see inside it now that you're back, though, would I? You know very well that only Iris is allowed inside. Yes, I heard you two giggling together in there again last night. You can visit Mr. Sholmes' his room, Mr. Naruhodo. Last time I did that, he tried to convince me to drink some strange concoction he mixed up. All the sea life seems very content in there, I must say. I've noticed something recently, actually. The anemones breed at a most extraordinary rate. Oh, really? It's a mystery why the whole seabed isn't buried in a mountain of them, actually. Oh, how splendid. That really is a mystery, isn't it? I wish there was someone here to explain Sasato-san's strange reaction to that. Okay, so they want us to have tea, but I'm gonna go back to the room real quick. Or not. I have to talk to Gina. And I don't know where she would be. Looks, most people are not here. She's here. Well, most of these people just conveniently not around. She's probably down in Sholmes' suite, actually. It makes sense that she followed us, or she came with us. Is that German? Is that Sasato's father? Is he passed out drunk? What the fuck is happening here? Now this is a party. What on earth is going on in here? Am I having a bad dream? Ah, no, it's an old German folk song. Oh, I was right. Rather a fine rendition, I think. That's the least of my concerns. Iris? Iris, what's the matter? Who's that sprawling, that relaxed gentleman over there? That looks like your dad. Iris? Is she even listening? Excuse me, sir. I do apologize for troubling you whilst you're singing so merrily, but would you be kind enough to explain the situation? Well, that worked. A crooning gentleman and a mute young girl. Oh, that's him singing? What? A rather tantalizing juxtaposition. And one that appears to have incited the gods of deduction within me to find their voices, too. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean? The strains of reasoning within me are now playing as a delightful duet. One melody sings of a reunion full of nostalgia, whilst the other is a morose theme about the great secret you're trying so desperately to conceal, Iris. She turned as white as a sheet. So as usual, you've instantly seen to the very heart of the matter. And by the time my own brief performance is over, I feel sure this gentleman's song will reach its finale. So then, to Music Land, where all is sweetness and delicacy and harmony. Pray, do enjoy Sherlock Sholmes' latest logic and reasoning spectacular. Man's identity. Firstly, we must consider the gentleman's nationality. Clearly he's a German with no grasp of the English language. Are you sure he's singing? Also, I'm pretty sure that looks like Eugen. I'm pretty sure that's the same hat. As evidenced by the Germanic song he sings and his apparent inability to understand when he's asked to desist. So, why is the man here at all and in such apparently high spirits? The answer, of course, Iris, is clearly known to you. Indeed, we now need only follow the gaze of those bright young eyes to unravel that particular part of this mystery. The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the herbal tea. You obviously offered our German guest a cup of your latest herbal blend. The tea's delectable flavor has made the man's spirits soar, and resulted in this joyful ditty tumbling incessantly from his lips. I eagerly await sampling the flavor myself, that I may join the fellow in his state of elation. Now, to the next question. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself so thoroughly of the settee? As it happens, a number of years ago now, a certain gentleman of German origin engaged my services in solving a particularly delicate case. He required the retrieval of letters once sent to an acquaintance that might have proved problematic. In order to conceal his noble identity, he also arrived in my office in a mask. The gentleman's name was Wilhelm Gottschalk Sigismund von Ormstein, the King of Germany. I Iris is like, wow, you're full of shit. If my memory serves, the mask worn by this gentleman is identical. Yes, there can be no question. That mask belongs to the King of Germany. It would appear that His Majesty remembers the fine service I afforded him. Excuse me. And has decided to show his face again, mask and all, in order to express his gratitude. A well-mannered monarch indeed. Wouldn't you agree, my dear fellow? So the identity of this masked visitor is in fact my former client, the King of Germany. Indeed, his son is currently in London as well, enjoying the wonders of the Great Exhibition. The King of Germany. Great. Girl's silence. Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. But your apparently inexplicable silence is unable to hide the truth. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that knapsack. A £5 note, I believe. I must say, as your compatriot, I'm deeply saddened. It would appear that you've allowed yourself to be bribed into silence by His Royal Highness, earning yourself some spending money in exchange for keeping quiet about the King's secret. And now the final piece of the puzzle. What is this secret you strive to hide with your silence, Iris? Ah, yes, we need only to follow that brief involuntary twitch of your eyes to find the answer. You were attempting to abscond with that coffee cup. My favorite coffee cup, in fact. Or should I say, the handle of my favorite coffee cup. It appears that His High-Spirited Highness broke it in his midst of his hijinks. Which leads us to the sad truth. My favorite coffee cup has been broken by the King of Germany, and Iris, you try to conceal it from me. I shall have a bill sent via governmental channels to the German royal family for its replacement. To hide the coffee cup. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes's great deduction of this painful puzzle. Your silence as well, the fellow's jovial warbling, rather rings in the ears, does it not? Mr. Sholmes, I must say something does rather trouble me. Pray, Mrs. Sato, do tell. His Royal Highness doesn't appear to have moved a muscle since we arrived. Ah, and you haven't said a word either. Oh, and you haven't said a word either, Iris. If Mr. Sholmes has it all right, you might as well own up to it now. Your reasoning isn't entirely without substance, I must admit. And one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. Yet another grievance, Mr. Naruhodo? Surely not. Well, I actually read the story of that case recently, the one you were just describing. And according to that, at least, it wasn't the King of Germany. It was the King of Bohemia. Goodness, was it? Yes, that's quite true. Master Gotz, the prince, testified to that in court. In his words, I have come to see the great exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. I would ask you to keep that minor error to yourselves. It could easily become quite a scandal. I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that it's our turn now to make some corrections to a number of minor errors that may have slipped in. Yes, even Mr. Sholmes is willing to admit he might be slightly wide of the mark of this time. Although it's clear that Iris is definitely hiding something. We need to find out the truth beyond this mysterious scene. But one truth is incontrovertible. My favorite coffee cup is no more. So, shall we embark again on a joint presentation of Hemlock? Oh my god. On a joint presentation of Sherlock Holmes's Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. German. Well, we already proved that that's wrong. The answer, of course, Iris, is clearly known to you. Irritating warbling is... No, it's not the herbal tea. I'm pretty sure it's the phonograph in the background. So what, it's some mix of herbs that gives you the urge to sing? Goodness, I should like to try some. And I'd like to hear your singing, but this man... Just how long does he intend to keep up with that tune, do you suppose? As I said, he's been stock still the entire time. And if you look closely, his lips aren't moving either. Ah, so I'm not sure what's actually responsible for the spirited singing. But I suspect the answer lies at the end of Iris's gaze. Gramophone. Wait, this is a gramophone, still rarely seen in our own country. The sound certainly appears to be coming from the horn. But machines singing, that can't be right. Science and technology are changing the world rapidly, Mr. Naruhodo. What's right is changing too. Ugh, it's too much for my brain. Well, at least we found our answer.
Take that!
The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the gramophone. Indeed, but no well-bred gentleman would break into an obscure folk song when making a social call. Sholmes kind of looks like Vince Offer, the Slapchop dude. I just realized he's got like the same facial shape. In other words, this gentleman isn't singing at all. In fact, it would appear that the fellow is unconscious. Ah, the music seems to have stopped now. I ask you, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? Why would I have purchased a recording of that gibberish? How should I know? Well, never mind. On with the deduction. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself so thoroughly of the settee? Oh, it's very clearly Yujin Mikotoba. And also that name matches up with Gott's. In court. Mask worn by this gentleman is identical. Yes, there can be no question. That mask belongs to the King of Germany. Isn't that what's his name's mask? Although we've already established it was actually the King of Bohemia. It seems Mr. Sholmes intends to persist with his Germany theory for some reason. Come to think of it, the young prince was wearing a mask as well, wasn't he? Master Gotz, the boy with whom you had in tears? Don't remind me, or anyone else. Do you suppose all members of the aristocracy of mainland Europe wear masks? I'm sure they do. Well, probably, anyway. The point is, that mask doesn't belong to any king. No, that's right, as we well know. Because we can identify the true owner of this mask. It was Cosmo, isn't it? Yes, there could be no question. That mask belongs to Kazuma Asogi. In other words, my memory is sublimely unreliable. Only you could try to make that sound positive. Kazuma's mask has been languishing on this metal chest for several days, but that doesn't explain why the gentleman is wearing it now. But it is now a simple matter to determine our guest's true identity. After all, the gentleman is unconscious. We need only excuse ourselves in advance, gently lift the mask, and peer beneath it. I don't believe it. Ah! Father? I'm afraid, Mrs. Sato, you must be mistaken. No, I think not, Mr. Sholmes. And it would appear our logic and reasoning has once again revealed the truth. This mysterious visitor is my unconscious father, Yujin Mikotoba. Logic and reasoning, or just looking and saying? Pretty obvious it was him from the outset, but okay. Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. But your apparently inexplicable silence is unable to hide the truth. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside this knapsack. No. Not so fast, Mr. Sholmes. So that's a 5-pound note poking out of Iris's backpack. Excuse me. So that's a 5-pound note poking out from Iris's knapsack, is it? Oh dear, I can't be sure. Most money that we encounter is in coin form. I know, I'm not even sure if we've seen any banknotes here in Britain at all, have we? But anyway, Father would never have paid money for Iris's silence. He certainly seems like the silent type himself, though, judging by his present state. There must be some other reason for Iris's silence, I suppose. Perhaps what Iris is trying so hard not to give away with her eyes is something entirely different. Oh, the metal chest is open. This metal chest, it contains important documents, doesn't it? Yes, details of all the cases Mr. Sholmes has worked on over the years. Written up by Iris's father, if I'm remembering correctly. Iris insists that the chest is kept locked at all times. She's never once shown me inside. Well, its contents are invaluable to her, I suppose, and entirely irreplaceable. But look at it now. The catch is unlocked for once. Ah, so it is. That's hard to ignore. Very. I've never seen that chest unlocked before in all the time we've been staying here at Baker Street.
Take that!
Cracked. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that metal chest. An excellent observation, for upon closer inspection, there is something different about the chest's appearance. It's kept locked at all times, yet now, the catch is open. Evidently, this has something to do with your refusal to speak, Iris. But it's a simple enough matter to incite you to speak, I'm sure. I merely need to open this chest. Here we go. No! Hurley, don't! What? Oh. Mr. Sholmes! Hurley! What the fuck just happened? He's dead. Never. Oh, Hurley. I told you not to open it. Ah, so you found your voice now, Iris. In other words, what just happened clearly reveals the truth here. Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is... This is somewhat different to the usual dance of deduction you perform at Mr. Sholmes, isn't it? Well, he's left me alone on the ballroom floor, so I'm going to have to dance this next part solo. And anyway, I need to get to the bottom of this for my own peace of mind. Now then, Iris isn't usually the silent type, so... You mean you don't actually know the answer yet, despite that knowing the point of the finger before? Despite that knowing pointing the finger before. Mrs. Sato, sometimes a man needs to point his finger first and think later. Oh, well, if you say so. I think we better examine Iris more closely and try to rescue the situation then. Key. It's a key she's holding, look. I'm sure that wasn't in her hands before, was it? No, you're quite right. It's appeared as if by magic. That's strange, a big old iron key. Where did it materialize from?
Take that!
Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is that key behind your back. Ah! Well, Mr. Sholmes was thrown into the air before. Just before you called out to try to stop him, you slipped something out of your mouth. That something is the key that's now in your hands, no doubt. The key to the chest. You're so clever, Runo. So now it becomes clear. Thanks to Mr. Sholmes' graphic demonstration, we can well imagine what happened here. But Professor Mikotoba also opened that metal chest, only to be punched into the air. And then sprawled on the settee. But wait, that doesn't explain all the facts. What about the stylish scarf? And the cup of tea? And above all, why would he be wearing Kazuma-sama's mask? Well, for those curious details, I can think of only one explanation. Clearly an unbelievable miracle took place in this room. Isn't that right, Iris? Consider how the room was arranged before this whole painful experience took place. When Professor Mikotoba opened the chest, completely unaware of what awaited him inside, the mask was flung into the air just as he was, only to land neatly on his face when it fell back down. And the teacup's journey through the air ended when it caught on the unconscious professor's finger. You mean to say that the stylish scarf is actually just a tablecloth? This is the great detective's office, after all. A place of miraculous deductions. Would you expect anything less? Yes, you're right. It happened exactly as you said. Brilliant, Runo. Brilliant. Thus concludes Ryunosuke Naruhodo's great deduction of this punchy puzzle. So then, why don't I make a fresh pot of tea for us all?
Objection!
An admirable performance, Mr. Naruhodo. But in the final act of the show there, you rather missed everything of importance. But, Mr. Sholmes, if you'd cast your mind back to my earlier deduction... Iris, clearly you're hiding a great secret. Ah, she is? From the look on her face. Mr. Sholmes must be right. Whatever that great secret is, the cat isn't out of the bag yet. So I put it to you again. You were attempting to abscond with that coffee cup. It really is a shame about Mr. Sholmes' cup. Must have been smashed when Professor Mikotoba opened the chest. Oh dear, so many things seem to have been broken here. But now that the deduction has taken a different turn, Iris doesn't seem to be trying to hide the broken cup anymore. In other words, her great secret is something else. Let's put our observational skills to work at one final time, then. Wait a minute. Yep. I knew it. There's something hidden under there. Case file. Ah, look, there. There seem to be more papers there. Is Iris trying to hide them underneath the tray? The insignia, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an official Scotland Yard document. What? But why would Iris have... We must ask her. An official Scotland Yard document.
Take that!
You were attempting to abscond with that case file. Iris, as you know very well, nothing escapes the attention of a great detective. Oh no. We visited Scotland Yard's autopsy laboratory earlier today, and Dr. Gorey informed us that the autopsy report of Clint Van Zieks had gone missing. Clint Van Zeeks. Yes. I do seem to recall that some years ago I asked to see the report in question. You were with me, weren't you, Iris? You mean it was you, Iris? So those papers you have there are... I'm sorry. Forgive me! To hide the case file. In truth, I would like to have thought I could predicted the booby-trapped chest. But it caught me completely off guard. I was very nearly the late consulting detective Herlock Sholmes. I'm sorry, Hurley. So you mean this autopsy report really is... Yes, I took it from the lab, even though I knew it was very important. Was there something in that troubled you, Iris? Not exactly something that troubled me. Something I'd been looking for. When I saw this report, when I saw the writing in it, I knew it was Daddy's. The writing? Your father's writing? What do you really mean? Iris? Must be something that's hard for her to talk about. Forgive me for the interrupting, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes, what is it? I feel as though that poor unconscious gentleman on the settee has been somewhat forgotten. Father! Perhaps we should find our guest somewhere more peaceful to rest. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? Would you be so kind as to lend him your bed? We must do our very best to make him comfortable, I feel. Oh, yes, of course. I'll help you carry him up. So will I. No, I can manage alone, thank you. You have tea to enjoy. We wouldn't want Iris's brood to stew. Because there's no better way to make the professor comfortable than dragging him upstairs like a trunk. I wonder, perhaps that was deliberate. Maybe Mr. Sholmes is making himself scarce to give Iris the chance to talk more freely? We must use this opportunity to talk with Iris. And find out what's going on. How do I talk to Gina again? Because I have to do it after the, Oh, she's here, alright. Good, I almost missed that. Gina, I'm really sorry. It's daft, innit? If you asked me a year ago, the cops could go ang for all I cared. Now if you ask me again, I could say the same thing. We gotta have police, ain't we? To catch the bludgers? No, we don't. So us divers can go about our business in peace. Wait, sorry? I don't think I can have heard that properly. He said he was gonna teach me everything I needed to know to be a detective. But all he got around to show me is where the best flaming fish and chip shops are. Actually, that reminds me. Gregson said he was supposed to be going to Paris in the near future, didn't he? Is something wrong? Oh, no. I'm sure I'm reading too much into things. It's just that the timing seems very coincidental. You know, the boss was acting a bit strange recently. Like he was always in a rush. There we go. Best chips in town, awarded. If I wasn't going on a trip this week, I'd probably get fish and chips again for meals. But I am going to Atlanta the day after tomorrow. Or tomorrow, technically, now. So I'll be enjoying local Atlantean cuisine. Alright, sorry, we had to run out and go across town real quick. We're back. Your daddy. Would you like to tell us about it, Iris? About your father? Excuse me. Ooh. I'm sure I told you before, didn't I, that Daddy used to be Hurley's partner? Yes, and that notes about all the cases they solved together are kept inside that metal chest. That's right. Hurley told me, you see. He said that Daddy's somewhere far away now, so we can't meet. That's one way of describing it. Then, when I secretly unlocked the chest and read through the papers inside, I started to build up a picture in my head of what Daddy must be like. Well, that's only natural. You're just like any other girl of your age. I read that Daddy was a professor of medical science, so I studied and took my degree, too. Well, that's only natural, I suppose. In that respect, you're not quite like any other girl of your age, though. But there was one thing that I could never find out. Is my mic working properly? Yes, it is. I see the mic aux on OBS working, but the actual Focusrite wasn't lighting up. Because I'm not being loud enough. Okay. Daddy's name. Wait, what? His name wasn't anywhere in any of the notes he had made about his work with Hurley. But then one day... That's when it happened, is it? When you saw this autopsy report, you finally managed to work it out. Is that right? Yes. So it was the handwriting in the report that caught her eye. Do we have it yet? No, we don't. When I saw the writing on that report, I could hardly believe it. I know that handwriting, I thought to myself, because it was the same as the writing you'd seen on your father's case notes. Exactly. I was desperate to compare the two properly. I needed to see them side by side. I asked the doctor in the laboratory, but I was told I couldn't take the report away. And even worse, I was told that it was the first and last time I'd be allowed to even look at it there. So you decided to steal it. When I compared the autopsy reports with the case notes I had here, there was no doubt. The handwriting was exactly the same. It was Daddy's. And the signature of the coroner at the bottom of the autopsy report read, Dr. John H. Wilson. So that's how I finally found out. I learnt Daddy's name at last. I see. Ever since then, I've called myself Iris Wilson. And that's also when I had the brilliant idea of writing stories all about Daddy's exciting times with Hurley. I decided then and there that I'd write the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Oh, Iris, I had no idea the stories had quite such a deep personal significance for you. I could see why the autopsy report was so important to her now. And why she was prepared to break the law to get her hands on it. I must apologize, Iris. This is really all my fault. Hurley? I made a promise, you see, that until the time was right, I'd keep the details about your father a secret. I know. I've been very naughty. I'll take the autopsy report back to Dr. Gorey and apologize, I promise. Yes, we'll go together, I think. Then, let me look after it for you until we get there. Clint's autopsy report has been entered the court record. The autopsy report of the final victim of the infamous professor. The report was authored by Dr. John H. Wilson. Crack a look at that bad boy before we do anything. Name, Clint Van Zeeks, male. Age 33, nationality British, time of death 31st of May between 9 p.m. and midnight. John H. Wilson, coroner. Death from a single stab wound to the heart. Other superficial external wounds indicative of a duel. Additional notes. Recent scarlet ink stains visible on the little and ring fingers of the right hand, but no document in the corresponding ink was found. Autopsy findings. Vital evidence recovered from the victim's stomach during autopsy. Credit to Inspector Gregson for petitioning so doggedly for the autopsy procedure. No internal trauma noted anywhere in the body. John H. Wilson. Single stab wound to the heart. But supposedly the professor killed people with a dog to the throat, so That seems to imply that Clint was not killed by the professor, at least not in the normal way. I must go and water my herbs, I think. I'll see you all later. Poor Iris. She must be feeling awful. I know Mr. Sholmes is here for her, but still. Ah! What? How? What's the meaning of this, Mr. Sholmes? Mr. Sholmes? Oh, dear me, so... You've noticed, I see. But that would mean... What on earth's the matter, Mrs. Sato? You've turned as white as a sheet. It's this autopsy report, Mr. Naruhodo. The one from 10 years ago. The writing... isn't Dr. Wilson's at all. Huh? What do you mean? How could you possibly know that? Because I know this writing very well. This writing is my father's. Yep. What? What? Professor Mikotoba's? Indeed, it's true. And now you know, my dear fellows. No, I don't know anything. What on earth does all this mean, Mr. Sholmes? Because the idea that's slowly forming in my mind, it's just too extraordinary to believe. Please, you have to explain. My dear fellow, without wishing to sound rude, I'm currently in the middle of a very important blink. Perhaps some other more convenient time, Is there a set time for your important blinks? Or are they all an all-day affair, just so I know? So this autopsy report was actually penned by Professor Mikotoba, then? But that makes no sense. It's not possible, surely. Not possible. My dear fellow, pray take a deep breath and think again. Yes, you're right. In some ways, it actually makes a great deal of sense. It does? 10 years ago is when Father returned to Japan after his extended study tour in Britain. And prior to his return, where was Dr. Mikotoba engaged? Of course. He was an assistant in Dr. Wilson's laboratory, learning about forensic science. And as an assistant, he would have aided with the dissection work, making detailed notes, which would be assembled into the full autopsy report. Once the work was complete, the head coroner would check the contents and put his signature on the document. In other words, the only writing of Dr. Wilson's in the report would be his signature at the end. I see. So Iris got the wrong end of the stick, you mean? She saw that and assumed the whole report had been written by Dr. John H. Wilson. Which is very understandable, of course. What a complicated situation. The report from the autopsy of the professor's final victim. It's signed by Dr. John H. Wilson. Carried out the procedure, though Professor Mikotoba actually penned the report. Thinking about it, most of what we know about you, Mr. Sholmes, comes from the published stories of your exploits. Yes, the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, written by Iris. And we really have no way of knowing what's fact and what's fiction. Most troubling for you, my dear fellow, I'm sure. So what's this about? What about this supposed partner of yours? Did he really exist or not? Ah, you've come straight to the point, I see. And please come straight to the answer. I believe Iris explained it in one of her installments. He was a trusted comrade, and the only person I could truly have called a friend. And did this partner of yours truly make a record of all your cases? Are his notes really stored inside that metal chest? Absolutely, my dear madam, absolutely. So, where's your partner now? We rarely meet. You see, he lives on the other side of the world. if this autopsy report and the records of all your old cases penned by the same hand, and if the autopsy report was written, though not signed, by your famous partner, there would only be one logical conclusion. Pray, impress me. Your partner would have to be Yujin Mikotoba. In other words, Mrs. Sato's father. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? You are coming along wonderfully. You have hit upon the method at last. You finally grasped the art of deduction. You mean to say... Allow me to introduce you to my great friend and partner, Mikotoba. Professor Mikotoba? So he was the Watson... Sorry, the Wilson all along. So who was Dr. John H. Wilson then? Wait, does that mean Iris is Mikotoba's daughter? Does this mean that you're the real Dr. Wilson? No, my dear. I'm still my old self. Yuji Mikotoba, your father. Oh, of course. This is obviously too much for Sasato-san to take in. I must say, though, how my old friend has attained worldwide celebrity as a great mystery solver is the greatest mystery of all. I still remember the first time we met. Pray remind me. When was that again, Mikotoba? 16 years ago, Sholmes. Yes, quite. 16 years ago. I just arrived from Japan with Seishiro and Genshin. I was in search of lodgings close to the hospital. Some comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. But rents are devilishly high in that particular area. That's right, so I decided I needed someone to share lodgings at the expense. And was fortunate enough to be introduced to Sholmes, who found himself in a similar situation. I was a callow fellow back then, a mere shadow of the great detectives you see before you now. I was working at the hospital's chemical laboratory at the time, indulging my curiosities for little gain. And the situation of our cohabitation led us to pursuing cases together, you see. Hard to believe. It was a mere 6 years. We had a great many adventures. But in the last year of Mikotoba's stay in Britain, that most infamous of cases presented itself. The case with which you've become rather familiar with yourselves, the Professor killings. Well, I guess that also explains why Mikotoba had, the Hound of Baskervilles in his study back in Japan. That, that Sasato saw. After the trial, Seishiro and I were summoned back home. Hardly surprising, given the circumstances. So there you have it, and as you know, all the details recorded by my trusty chronicler remain in that metal chest. This is just amazing. Professor Mikotoba really is Mr. Sholmes' famous partner. Scratchy, my backy. Father. Goodness, my dear, what a cutting look. As your daughter, I'm very proud to learn that you were the great detective's great partner. But nevertheless, there's another mystery that I really must ask you to explain now. And that is? You know very well what it is. The unresolved matter of Iris's father. Of course. Almost forgotten about that one. I should have seen this coming, I suppose. Iris told us that all the notes about the great detective's adventures are in that metal chest. Were written by her father. Isn't that correct, Mr. Sholmes? That is indeed what I told young Iris. But if you're Mr. Sholmes' partner, Father, and you wrote all those case notes, then Iris' father must be you. Upon my word, Mrs. Sato, you are coming along wonderfully as well. You too have hit upon the method at last. You finally grasped the art of deduction. What? What you've always told me, Father, is that my mother died when I was born 16 years ago, and you left me in my grandmother's care whilst you embarked on your study tour of Britain. And I've always accepted that. But all this about Iris... Oh, there it is. Sasato-san's ice-cold stare. No, hold on a minute. It was very complicated. I mean, it's really not what you think. Then perhaps you'd like to explain exactly what it is? There it is. Now the eyes go from ice-cold to red-hot just before she... No, really, you've got the wrong end of the stick. Sholmes, say something, man! That's quite enough, my fiery fellows. Mr. Sholmes, when did he get all dressed up? Whilst I don't like to interrupt this exciting exploration of the past, Mikotoba and I have an urgent matter that requires a short excursion. But it's very late, Mr. Sholmes. Where must you go? Why, my dear madam, is that not obvious? My partner and I must pursue our natural enemies. So, get your coat, Mikotoba. The game is afoot. But Sholmes, I really must give Sasato a full explanation, I think. Later, my dear fellow, later. Our carriage awaits downstairs already. You haven't changed one iota, have you? I mean, really, I visit our home after 10 long years, and when I open that chest in a fit of nostalgia, I quite inexplicably pass out. And as if that wasn't enough, when I eventually regain consciousness, I'm plunged straight into all of this. Father, please. Go with Mr. Sholmes now. What? I've no doubt that whatever happened, you were acting in everyone's best interests. I trust you, completely. Sasato. And sending the great detective and his great partner off on renewed adventures together is more than I could have ever hoped for in my wildest dreams. Very well then, we'll speak again later. So, I believe your own work is done for the day. I wish you the best of luck for tomorrow. Yes, Naruhodo. Good luck in battle, and in reaching a decision. A decision about whether to go back to Japan, I suppose.
So much happened that day that I barely knew what to do with myself. It would only be later that I'd come to realize how amidst the chaos I'd unleashed were all the clues I needed to finally unearth the truth, and that all the turmoil was necessary to give me the resolve to see everything through.
Woo! Holy shit. I gotta be honest, for everything that happened there wasn't a ton. We didn't really get any, like he's saying we got all the clues we needed, but we didn't really get a whole lot of clues regarding Gregson's case. Final chapter. Oh man, figures you appear when it ends. Yeah. Okay, so here. All right, so I could go through it because I've only been doing this for an hour. Here's what you missed. We looked inside the case that was in the room at the end of the last stream. We found a passport or a passage of travel notice saying that Gregson and one other person went to Paris one day before he was killed, which kind of makes no sense. Or at least it was signed the day before he was supposedly killed. And then it got revealed that that Sasato's father is actually Dr. Sholmes's partner and not John H. Wilson. And that Iris thought that Wilson was the person, and now we're apparently led to believe that that Eugen might be Iris's father, which means Sasato and Iris might be half siblings. Yeah, that's kind of all that it was. That's kind of all that got revealed. Honestly, there wasn't a ton there. There was just a lot of text to get to that point. As much as I'd like to hit the final chapter, I'm gonna wait because tonight's the only night I'm streaming until I get back from Atlanta. But I think we're on track to getting everything now, yeah. Just whatever this is, and then clear the last chapter, and then we get everything. Cool. So that's gonna be it for that for now. This will return next week when I get back from Atlanta and all the other crap I gotta do. Atlantis. The day I get back, or the day after I get back, I have to go into the office for work, and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna be so exhausted. I'm not gonna want to do that. So I may not stream that Wednesday either. So this might be the last stream for like 9 days. But we'll see. But yeah, that's where we are right now. We're doing the second day of Gregson's trial tomorrow in game, and we now know that Yuji Mikotoba is actually Herlock Sholmes' great partner in his stories. And that's pretty much it. And we also know that Gregson apparently went overseas at some point before he was killed. That's everything we learned. Gonna buy Coke soda? Coke soda? Like soda with actual cocaine in it? Oh, right, Atlanta has the Coca-Cola factory, doesn't it? Maybe. Maybe I will. I don't know. I feel that, because I'm staying with Celine, one of the people who stops by here every so often, and I think we kind of have, like, a packed itinerary for what we're doing, so we'll have to see. But, until then, I think this concludes, Chapter 4 of Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So let me just, stop recording, and I will set up for something else here.